Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that you have finally reached a point in your life where you have some money to invest. Maybe you have been working for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, or even longer. Maybe you are living in Africa, or maybe you are thousands of kilometers away in the diaspora. You could be a nurse, a teacher, a care worker, an engineer, a driver, a civil servant, a construction worker, a professional, or simply someone who has worked hard and saved whatever they could. Over the years, you have paid your bills, supported your family, sent money back home, helped relatives, paid school fees, dealt with emergencies, and sacrificed many things. And after all those years of working, you finally managed to put together some capital. Maybe it is $10,000. Maybe it is $30,000. Maybe $50,000. Maybe it is $100,000 or more. And then a very familiar thought enters your mind. I need to build my house. For many Africans, and particularly for Africans living in the diaspora, this is more than just a financial decision. The house represents achievement. It represents security. It represents dignity. It represents family. It represents the dream of eventually returning home and having somewhere that belongs to you. Perhaps you left Africa many years ago. Perhaps you promised yourself that one day you would build a beautiful home back home. Maybe you have already bought the land. Maybe you have already drawn the plans. Maybe your family's already asking when construction will begin. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with wanting a home. A house can be one of the most important things you ever own. It can provide shelter and security. It can protect you from rent increases. It can become an inheritance for your children. It can potentially appreciate in value, and emotionally, it can mean far more than its monetary value. But there is a question that we don't ask often enough. Once the house is finished, what happens next? Imagine that you spend $100,000 building your dream home. The foundation is laid, the walls go up, the roof is installed, the windows are fitted, the floors are tiled, the kitchen is completed, the furniture arrives, and finally you stand outside and look at what you have built. You have achieved the dream. But then retirement arrives. Your salary stops. Your overtime stops. Your employer stops paying you. But your life doesn't stop. You still need food. You still need electricity. You still need transport. You still need maintenance. You may need health care. You may still have family responsibilities. And suddenly you discover something that is incredibly important when thinking about retirement. Owning an asset and having an income are not the same thing. Your house may be worth $100,000, $200,000, or even more. But if you are living in it, that house may not be producing the monthly cash flow you need to live. And that brings us to a question that I believe every person should ask, long before retirement. What will pay you when you stop working? This question is especially important for people living in the diaspora. Think about the ordinary African who has spent years working abroad. Maybe they are in the United Kingdom, the United States, Canada, Australia, Germany, or somewhere else in the world. They wake up every morning and go to work. Sometimes they work nights, sometimes weekends. They pay taxes. They pay rent or a mortgage. They pay transport costs. They raise children. They support relatives. They send money home. They may not consider themselves wealthy at all. They are simply working hard. But after 10, 20, or 30 years, they may have earned a significant amount of money. And then comes the important question: how much of what you have earned has actually become wealth? Because income and wealth are not the same thing. Income is the money you earn from your labor, your salary, your business, or your profession. Wealth is what you manage to keep, accumulate, invest, and turn into assets that can continue supporting you in the future. And this is where we need to start looking at the choices people make with their money. Imagine two people who have worked for years and both eventually accumulate $50,000. The first person says, "I'm going to build my house." They use the entire $50,000, or perhaps most of it, to construct a home. The second person says, "I also want a house, but I'm going to think about what this $50 can produce before I turn it into bricks and concrete." They might invest in agriculture. They might buy livestock. They might start a small business. They might invest in rental property. They might invest in financial markets. They might build a side business while continuing with their employment. They might combine several investments. The point isn't that everyone should become an entrepreneur. The point is that your job does not have to be your only source of wealth. You can keep your job. You can keep your salary. You can keep your pension. You can keep your stability. But you can also take a portion of your income and gradually convert it into productive assets. That is a very different way of thinking about money. Your job provides income. Your savings provide capital. Your investments become assets. Those assets can potentially generate additional income or appreciate in value. And over time, you begin moving from a situation where all your income depends on your labor to a situation where your labor and your capital are working together. Let's take a simple example. Imagine someone decides to invest part of their capital into livestock pen fattening. They buy cattle, feed them, manage their health, monitor their weight, and eventually sell them. But they don't stop there. They decide to add value. Instead of simply selling live cattle, they process the animals and sell beef through a butchery. The cattle become carcasses. The carcasses become different cuts of meat: steak, rump, brisket, mince, T-bone, oxtail, liver, heart, kidneys, tripe, tongue, and other products. Now, the person isn't simply raising cattle. They have created a value chain. Money enters the system through capital. The capital buys productive assets. Those assets generate products. Those products are sold to customers. Revenue comes back into the business. Costs are paid. If there is a profit, part of that profit can potentially be reinvested. More cattle can be purchased. More products can be produced. More customers can be served. And the cycle continues. This is one of the fundamental differences between simply owning something and owning something productive. A house that you live in can preserve wealth and provide security. A productive business can potentially generate cash flow. A rental property can potentially generate rent. A farm can potentially generate agricultural products. An investment portfolio can potentially generate dividends, interest, or capital gains. And that leads us to one of the most important concepts in this entire conversation. There is a difference between wealth preservation and wealth creation. A house can preserve wealth. Land can preserve wealth. Gold can preserve wealth. But productive assets have the potential to create additional income and capital. And this doesn't mean that one is better than the other in every situation. The house may be exactly what you need. The business may fail. The investment may lose value. The property market may fall. There are risks everywhere. That is why this isn't a story about telling people not to build houses. It is a story about understanding what your money is supposed to accomplish. Now let's talk about mortgages. For many people, buying a home through a mortgage can be an effective way to acquire property without waiting decades to save the full purchase price. You borrow money from a lender, buy the house today, and repay the loan over many years. That can allow you to secure a home earlier in life. But the mortgage also means something else. You are committing part of your future income. Every month, the payment has to be made. And so the important question isn't only, can I afford the monthly payment? The deeper question is, what am I giving up by committing this much of my future income to this property? Could some of that money have gone into investments? Could it have built an emergency fund? Could it have reduced other debts? Could it have created another source of income? Could it have been used to develop a business? A mortgage is not automatically good, and it is not automatically bad. It is a financial tool. The important thing is understanding the cost, the risk, the opportunity cost, and whether the property fits into your broader financial plan. And this is where I think our understanding of retirement needs to change. For many people, retirement planning begins with the question, will I own my house by the time I retire? That is an important question, but it is incomplete. The bigger question is, when I retire, what will generate my income? Because imagine reaching retirement with a completely paid-off house, but no meaningful income-producing assets. You may have no rent to pay, which is excellent, but you still need money to live. Now imagine another person who has a modest home but also has rental income, investments, a pension, agricultural income, or a business that continues operating. They may not have the biggest house, but they may have something incredibly valuable. Multiple sources of cash flow. This is why retirement is not simply about accumulating assets. It is about building sustainable financial capacity, and this is particularly important for people in the African diaspora because the financial journey is often complicated. You may be building a life in one country while simultaneously building assets in another. You may be paying rent in London while building a house in Harare. You may be paying a mortgage in Birmingham while buying land in Ghana. You may be supporting your parents while saving for your own children's future. You may be paying school fees, sending money home, helping relatives, and trying to prepare for retirement at the same time. And sometimes, without realizing it, you can end up putting a huge amount of your accumulated wealth into a property that does not generate enough income to support you later. This doesn't mean the property was a bad investment. It means the property may need to be only one part of the strategy. Perhaps we need to stop thinking about wealth as one big decision. Perhaps wealth is a system. A house can be one part of that system. Productive assets can be another. Investments can be another. Cash reserves can be another. Your pension can be another. And your employment income can be another. The objective is to make these pieces work together. Imagine a person who continues working their normal job, but decides that every month, instead of spending all their surplus income, a portion will be invested. They don't need to become a millionaire overnight. They don't need to quit their job. They don't need to risk their entire savings. They simply begin converting part of their labor income into productive capital. Over 10 or 20 years, that can become significant. And eventually, those assets may begin producing income of their own. That is the transition we should be thinking about, not necessarily from employee to entrepreneur, but from relying entirely on labor income to having both labor income and capital working for you. And perhaps, once those productive assets have grown, you can build the house you always wanted without destroying the capital that is generating your income. That changes the sequence. Instead of simply saying, I work, I save, I build a house, and then I retire, you begin thinking, I work, I save, I invest, I build productive assets, I allow those assets to grow, I diversify, and then I build my home while continuing to maintain income-producing assets. The house is still there. The dream is still there. But now the house is part of a larger financial structure. And this is where I want to challenge something that is very common in our communities: comparison. You see someone building a massive house back home. They post pictures of the foundation, then the walls, then the roof, then the tiles, then the gate, then the furniture. And suddenly you feel like you are behind. You think, I have been abroad for 10 years. Why haven't I built my house yet? But perhaps the person you are comparing yourself to has a completely different financial strategy. Maybe they have a business generating income. Maybe they have investments. Maybe they have rental properties. Maybe they have inherited land. Maybe they have debt. You don't know the full story. And your financial life should not be built around someone else's visible success, because a house is visible. A business's cash flow is often invisible. An investment portfolio is invisible. A pension is invisible. A diversified financial system is invisible. You can drive past someone's house and see exactly how much they appear to have achieved, but you cannot drive past their gate and see how much debt they have, and you cannot see how much income their assets generate. That is why we need to stop measuring wealth only by what is visible. The biggest house in the neighborhood does not necessarily belong to the wealthiest person, and the person with the smallest house may actually have the strongest financial position. The real question is not, how much do you own? The real question is, how much of what you own is working for you? Now let's return to our two people with $50,000. Person A builds the house. Person B invests in productive assets. 5 years later, who made the better decision? There is no automatic answer. Person B could lose everything if the business is badly managed. Person A's property could appreciate significantly. Person B could become extremely successful. Person A could eventually turn the property into a rental. The outcome depends on the decisions made after the initial investment. But what we can say is that they were trying to accomplish different things. Person A primarily converted capital into housing and security. Person B attempted to convert capital into future income and growth. Both objectives are legitimate. The question is whether they fit the person's stage of life and financial needs. And perhaps this is where we should introduce a different way of thinking about retirement. Instead of asking, What should I own when I retire? Ask, what should be producing for me when I retire? Instead of asking, how big should my house be? Ask, how much income will I need every month? Instead of asking, how quickly can I finish construction? Ask, how much capital am I comfortable locking into a non-income producing asset? Instead of asking, how much can I borrow? Ask, how much of my future income am I willing to commit? And instead of asking, what does everyone else have? Ask, what financial system will allow me and my family to live securely? Because ultimately, the goal isn't to choose between a house, a mortgage, a business, or investments, as though one must always defeat the others. The goal is to understand what each one does. A house can provide security. A mortgage can provide leverage. A business can provide income and growth potential. Investments can provide diversification. Cash reserves can provide protection. A pension can provide retirement income. And your salary can provide the capital that starts the entire process. The strongest financial position may therefore not come from choosing one of these things. It may come from combining them in the right proportions and, importantly, in the right sequence. Maybe you don't need to build the biggest house first. Maybe you need to build enough productive wealth that the house doesn't consume your entire financial future. Maybe you don't need to become an entrepreneur. Maybe you simply need to start investing consistently. Maybe you don't need to avoid mortgages completely. Maybe you need to understand when a mortgage is affordable and when it becomes a burden. Maybe you don't need to abandon the dream of owning property back home. Maybe you need to make sure that your property is part of a retirement plan rather than the entire retirement plan, because eventually, every working person reaches the same destination. The day comes when the job ends. The salary stops. The overtime disappears. The employer no longer pays you. And at that point, your financial life is no longer being powered primarily by your labor. It is being powered by whatever you managed to build before that day arrived. So whether you are living in Africa or thousands of kilometers away in the diaspora, whether you are a nurse, teacher, care worker, engineer, driver, professional, civil servant, entrepreneur, or simply someone working hard to provide for your family, the principle is the same. Your income is what you earn. Your wealth is what you keep and what you convert into assets. And your financial independence comes from what continues working for you when you stop working. So build the house if you need the house. Buy a house if it makes financial sense. Use a mortgage if the numbers make sense for your circumstances. Start a business if entrepreneurship suits you. Invest in agriculture if you understand the opportunity and the risks. Invest in financial assets if they fit your goals and risk tolerance. But don't allow the pressure to look successful to prevent you from becoming financially secure, because there is a difference between looking wealthy and being financially resilient. A large house can show people that you have achieved something, but productive assets can potentially give you something even more important, the ability to continue generating income. And perhaps that is the conversation we need to have more often. Not, when are you going to build your house? But, what are you building that will support you when you stop working? Because money can become a house, money can become a car, money can become luxury, but money can also become a farm, a business, a rental property, an investment portfolio, a pension, a productive asset, a source of income, and eventually financial freedom. So the next time you receive $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, or $100,000, don't ask only, what can I buy with this money? Ask a different question. What can this money become? Because perhaps the most important investment you will ever make isn't the one that makes you look successful today. It is the one that gives you choices tomorrow, the choice to retire when you want, the choice to support your family without depending entirely on a salary, the choice to return home because you want to, not because you have no other option, the choice to live in the house you built without worrying about where next month's income will come from. And perhaps that is the real meaning of wealth. Not simply owning more, but having more freedom. So build the house, build the business, build the investments, build the retirement fund, build the emergency reserves, but above all, build the financial engine that makes all of those things possible. Because a house can shelter you, but wealth can give you options. And perhaps the smartest thing we can do is not build the monument first. Build the engine before you build the monument. I hope you've learned something valuable today, and I hope this conversation has given you something to think about. Because building a better life is not only about how much money we earn, it's about the systems we build, the decisions we make, and how we turn what we earn today into a better future tomorrow. If you want to learn about systems that build your life, grow your wealth, and help you make better decisions, then make sure you subscribe to Smart Livestock Systems. I'm Asha, the AgriMentor. And here, we look beyond the obvious. We explore agriculture, business, investment, wealth creation, and practical systems that can help us build a stronger future. So subscribe to the channel, share this video with someone who needs to hear this message, and join me for the next one. Thank you for watching. I'm Asha, the AgriMentor. See you in the next one. And I hope you've learned something today. Shalom.